Hi, I'm Wayne.
And I'm Belinda.
We are normal preppers, and this is normal prepping. As we mentioned before in our past videos, we experienced an evacuation, and we were preppers. At least we thought we were. We thought we were prepared. So, in this video, what we want to go over is our experience in an evacuation. Approximately 3 years ago, we had a major evacuation or major wildfire in our area. It started off probably around 30 miles from our house, so we weren't concerned a bit. Um, initially, it started to go really bad, really fast. One of our friends, she lost her house right away, and then we knew things were getting ugly. And then as houses started to get burning and burning, and it started moving forward, it started to get more real. I was working from home at the time, and I was listening to my scanner, and it was out of control, all the calls. And finally, the 911 dispatcher said, we were done. We can't help anybody else. And you could just hear that they were, how panicked they were, because they were over their heads, and it hadn't even started how bad it got. So, as preppers, we thought we were pretty good. And we were, like I say, we were 30 miles away. So we thought, we were telling everybody, they can come to our house because we're prepared. We have everything to shelter in place. Because that's what we've been preparing for. That's what we've been training for. And we felt fairly comfortable. But it kept getting closer. And it jumped. And it got closer. And then we had to start getting serious about being prepared and being ready to go and what we needed. So we talked to each other. My wife was at work and she was dealing with her own problems. I was at home, so I was trying to get ready, and then started to roll and roll and roll. And what did you experience from your point of view?
Oh, it was chaos at work. I actually worked right next to the fire. The fire was going on. I was driving. I could see plumes of smoke, gray ash everywhere. And the traffic was horrendous. Everybody was trying to get to different places. And then what is it? Evacuation, one set go. What is it?
Yeah, I can't remember though.
But we had
the phases. They have
different phases, and we were at. Once we got to the step 2, get ready, go. I think what it is. He called me and said, "Get home now, because we might have to leave." And it turns out our family members had no evacuation orders, and we were the farthest away, and we got the orders because we live more in the woodsy area. But yeah, so I got home and we thought we got all our stuff ready, packed bags and documents, and then we just waited, slept on the couch with our shoes on until the next day when we actually did get this go to one set go call, and we were told to leave her home.
And prior to her leaving, I had the list, and we did the previous video. You can go on and find that video where we go over the list.
The evacuation
list. Actually, it's what we're going to do that after this. It wasn't the previous. But we went over the evacuation list. And the evacuation list is what's so important.
Yeah.
Very, very important. And that's what, it helped us a lot. But as we will later tell you, it also, we weren't covered completely. So that's why we always find that very important. But I had already started going over the list. I figured I got to do something. So I grabbed the list and I started just loading up. And fortunately, because of that, I had most of it loaded up. And it was kind of weird because all of a sudden I was loaded up and I'm sitting here going, what I'm done. Now what do I do, Yeah. So then I started working with the neighbors, and we were setting up sprinklers around the house, our houses, and trying to get ready because we already had some ash coming in.
Yeah.
And that's about when Belinda showed up at the house. And then we had to sit and wait. And we didn't know when to leave, because like I said before, I was ready for shelter in place. That's what I've, always thought you do, but that's not what you do during a fire. So yeah. Everything in my world just flipped. And at that point, we spent the night here, wasn't it? And then we drove around. What did we see?
Yeah, we drove around and basically like a ghost town in town because people had already left. And everything was closed. Everybody was just in their homes, or you see people loading up their cars, getting ready. And we saw our neighbors loading up their cars. We kept seeing RVs going by because they were leaving. And it was just It was surreal.
Yes, and then it got dark.
Yeah.
And so we went for a drive then, and things really changed then. We could see the fire over the hill. It was glowing. And that's when I was, we didn't even sleep that night. It was myself, Belinda, and our dog, and we stayed in the living room, ready to go. And because we didn't know if we were going to get overrun, and we only have one way out of here. We live on a dead end road, and unfortunately, the fire was on the side of the end of our road where we have to use to get out.
Yeah.
So if that fire came in, we were stuck. I mean, we're goners, and we were just waiting. We didn't know for sure if we should wait or if we should
leave
leave. What should we do? And so we actually, when we did, we called up relatives, and we found a place to go. So we packed up what last we had, closed up the house, which has to be the saddest, horrible thing you see, because we just bought this house, and then we thought it's gone, and it was leaving the house. When you make that step, be ready for it, because it is not easy. It's actually quite depressing. The whole time we were there, I just kept visualizing our house burning. So we loaded up, said goodbye to our house, and drove off. Mm-hmm. Then as we were driving, everybody was heading in the same direction, which is very fortunate. One thing we noticed is the gas stations were lined up with cars.
Oh, yeah.
People did not have their vehicles full. They did not know where they were going to go.
That is one thing I did do before I got home from work, because I filled up my tank before I got home. So I already had a full tank of gas, because I knew. And we were right. The gas stations were jam-packed of last-minute people trying to get out of town and fill up their tanks. If for instance, in a fire, if you know there's a fire in your area, fill up your tanks, because you may have to flee.
Exactly. And then they ended up just shutting the gas stations down.
Yeah, they shut them down.
And people were in line, and they just said no more. And some of them ran out of gas. They were running out of gas. Mm-hmm. So we headed down to our relative's house. Actually, we were heading towards the main where the fire started.
Yeah.
And that's what was so weird about it. So we get there, and we didn't unpack completely. We had stuff in our truck and her car. We took separate vehicles. We just went in, I think. Yeah, we just went in and just sat down, kind of like we're just visiting.
Yeah.
And then, fortunately, we didn't unpack, because we were there for an hour. And we got
about an hour or two. And then, sure enough, there's down about a mile away from their home, another fire broke out. So we had to evacuate from her house, and they had to evacuate. And they weren't ready. They were just sitting, hanging around, watching TV with us.
Yeah, exactly.
They weren't prepared in any way. So... yeah, so here we all go.
Yep, so then we all load up.
And we went different places. They went to another relative's house. Then we went to my parents' house. And but to get there, holy cow. The traffic and the people, the panic. Because this is a whole nother town that had to evacuate on top of the town we came from.
Yes, to put this in perspective, we had it started off like 30 miles in a major town. Then it totally just ran through two towns. Mm-hmm. It jumped part of the next, and it was in this town. We were all the way another 20 miles from where we were. And
there was another fire that was set
because there were spot fires. It was bouncing all over the place. Mm-hmm. So we get in the car, and then as soon as we start heading out of town, there's they kind of divert people. We got a little bit separated.
Yeah.
Fortunately, we had radios, which is and I'll go into that in the future about how to handle this, because the cell phones don't work.
No.
You gotta have radios, and that's fortunately we did. So we kept, even though we knew where we were going, it was so comforting.
Yeah, and I couldn't see his car because there's so many cars. I could talk to him on the walkie-talkie, and we were fine.
Yeah, so that really brings comfort.
Yeah,
so that was great. But we were driving, and it was really bizarre. This is where the people got just strange.
Crazy.
Because even my dog looked at this lady driving next to us, and we don't know what she'd gone through. I mean, who knows? She probably lost her house, or who knows what experience she'd had. But at the point where she was, you would think the flames were like 100 feet behind us. She was screaming at the top of her lungs in the car next to us, trying to almost run us off. She was driving off, she was on the side of the road. She wasn't even, then she was like almost ramming us, trying to get in while screaming and yelling and just screaming. And she was out of control. Even it was actually kind of humorous, because the dog looked at her And then he looked at me like, does she need help? You know? And then it was really kind of an odd situation. So I let her go in front of me. You know,
which wasn't going very fast anyway.
Yeah, we were all even moving. You could walk fast when we were moving.
Yeah.
And so I stopped and let her get in front of me because I knew she was gonna, you know, she was having a hard time, and a lot of people were having they're in various points of that, and it was really kind of what blew my mind is I look in the rearview mirror and I don't see I see smoke way in the distance. I don't see any flames. I don't see any zombies coming my way. All I see is we have to go this way and all these cars. And they're trying to divert us off to the left to go on the freeway. We need to go to the right. So when you start doing that, it gets a little sketchy. But we did. We just drove. And then all of a sudden, all the cars disappeared. And then we went to her mom's house. And there we stayed for, it was about a week, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was about a week.
Yeah. And that's where I get into.
Till we could get back in our home. Yeah.
Yeah. And that was horrible, too, because we'll go into that in the future too about the things you need. One for just care. Just the worry is off the charts because we were having looters and all that in our area. Not as bad as you'd think, but we had enough just to make me worried. Plus, we had no idea if our house was burnt down. You know, we had zero idea. So in the future, I like to have like a camera so I could see if my house is still there. So I just visualized it burnt. But the thing that also caught me off guard is, okay, I was prepping. I was a prepper. You know, I'm a prepper. I brought my stuff. And I thought for sure I had this down. But when I prep, I was one, like I think I've said, I kind of shelter in place. And then I also backpack. So I was thinking, I wear the same clothes all day. You know, that's what I do backpacking. I don't change my clothes. You go to a stream, you kind of wash them out, and that's it. And I thought, well, you go to laundromat or whatever, you're about town. And then I get there and I had to go to work. And I had
because work didn't burn down.
Yeah, work didn't burn down. I had to go back.
I had to go back to work.
Yeah, she had to go to work. And we didn't have any clothes. So I'm sitting here.
Work clothes.
Yeah, work clothes.
All I grabbed when we left was a bag of laundry, which is mainly my clothes. And
yeah, that's it. Yeah.
So,
So,
I was okay for a few days, but then he went out shopping and he couldn't find anything to wear. There are people in the store that were just trying to help other people, and we're buying clothes for people who actually were a heck of a lot worse than we were. But I mean,
the actual burn victims. They lost everything.
And we, he went in there and he bought for himself, but there wasn't much to buy.
No,
everything was gone.
And it was hilarious because I needed underwear, so I got these little teeny underwear. They're like for young boys, basically. They're like basically
teenager underwear.
Yeah, teenager underwear, small, very, very small.
And he had to wear those.
And then I had to wear this, goofy shirt and some pants that didn't fit. Just did what I could, and and it would have been so much easier if I would have had that. If I had the stuff for work, then I would have been set. Because we could do laundry, but what I brought, I couldn't wear to work because it was more backpacky style. It wasn't really for work.
Yeah.
So we sat there for a week, and I was going back and forth, and we just kept watching the news, watching all the different media, whatever we could find. Every once in a while, we get a glimpse of our area, And then one time they did a drive-through. Oh, yeah. That was amazing, wasn't it?
Yeah, because we had some neighbors who actually didn't leave. They stayed in their home, and it was the firefighters can do anything about it. It is your choice. And they would do Facebook a video every couple of days, driving down the road, say everything's okay here, and show all the houses. And they drove by our home, and we saw our house. So that was a big, big relief. But even though when we got home, we have that wood deck and stuff, there was burnt ash leaves sitting on our deck. I mean, it could have gone up in flames. I mean, we had ash everywhere. And I even saw ash falling from the sky before we even left.
Yeah.
It was on fire.
Yeah, it was on fire. And even when we were here, we looked in our rain gutters, and the debris in our rain gutters had burnt. There was like little fires inside that. And you figure all the homes in our area were so fortunate.
Yeah.
It was just unbelievable. And that's something that, it's you don't understand it until you're in it. And that's one thing that sets us, that we look at as preppers, is a lot of preppers. And like I say, I've followed all these prepping channels. I've taken training, advanced training in prepping. And I thought I knew it. But the thing is, a lot of these preppers, they'd never experienced that. Everybody kind of guesses what it's like. But I mean, people go through it all the time with tornadoes, floods, fires, whatever. But we went through it and we learned a lot.
A lot.
Basically, when we're done, we had an amazing tailgate meeting, and we've been just talking to our friends, family, trying to get them prepared, get them right. For both, we're doing both, evacuating and for staying in sheltering in place.
Mm-hmm.
You need both, and you know it well. There's so many things that we learned, and that's what this channel is about, and that's what we want to help you guys. We want to share our experience. We want to share. That's the reason we're doing this. Everybody keeps asking us to do it, so we're doing it, and I hope it helps you, and I really thank you for your time. Goodbye.